While the MCU will be introducing a bunch of new characters this year, including Ms. Marvel, Kate Bishop, Shang-Chi, and the Eternals, 2021 will also see the return of even more fan-favorite characters beyond those we've seen return in WandaVision and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So let's run through the 5 characters that we are most excited to see return to the MCU in 2021. Number 5. Hawkeye, aka Clint Barton. Sad but true, Clint Barton has never had his chance to shine in the MCU. But that all changes this year when the Hawkeye series releases on Disney+. People who became fans of Clint Barton with the more recent MCU entries will finally get to see him get his own story. And while the series will feature Kate Bishop, Clint Barton will be the lead Hawkeye, at least from what we know. As for reasons to be excited beyond the Master Archer getting his own story, there are plenty of them. The logo from the show is taken directly from the Matt Fraction comic book. Matt Fraction's Hawkeye series is the comic that made comic book readers fans of Clint Barton. It tells an incredible story, brings in Kate Bishop as a companion, and Lucky the pizza dog, and it even has a lot of humor. The Disney Plus series seems to be taking elements from the graphic novel, and that alone makes this series one of the most exciting upcoming projects, and it makes Clint Barton one of the characters that we are most excited to see return. Number 4. Black Widow. Natasha Romanoff is a fan-favorite character, and it took years for her to finally get her own movie. A movie that was supposed to release in 2020 and went through several delays before finally landing on a July 9th, 2021 release date. Fans will finally get to see her backstory and her secrets revealed. Her film will launch a brand new MCU story, but without question, the best thing about the Black Widow film is just getting more Natasha Romanoff. As mentioned, Natasha is a fantastic character, and a lot of people are excited to just see more of her on screen after her death in Avengers Endgame. Whether the film feels late or your hype died for it in 2020, no one can deny that seeing Natasha Romanoff again will be a delight. Number 3. Iron Man. Iron Man's return to the MCU is much different than the other 4 characters on the list for one reason. The Tony Stark that will be in the MCU this year is not the Tony Stark that we know. The Tony Stark that we know sacrificed himself to save the universe at the end of Avengers Endgame. The Iron Man that we will see in 21 is very different. So different, in fact, that he's animated. In 2021, we will see Iron Man return in the What If series on Disney+. Tony Stark will appear in multiple episodes. The first look recreated the moment from Iron Man 2 when he's eating donuts inside of a giant donut. And we later heard about an episode where Tony Stark gets stranded in space after nuking the Chitauri Strip at the end of Avengers, and he gets sucked through a portal to Sakaar where he's forced to fight as a gladiator. Sakaar is the place where Thor and Hulk fought in Thor Ragnarok. LEGO set images later confirmed this by showing a Hulkbuster armor that Tony builds on the planet. And he's bound to pop up at several other points. Everyone loves Iron Man. He is probably the objective best character in the MCU for his phenomenal character development over 11 years and 9 films. Finding someone who dislikes the character of Iron Man nowadays is as hard as finding someone who hasn't seen at least one of the Marvel films. People are itching to see more Tony Stark. And thanks to What If being a series that explores alternate realities, Marvel found a way to give us more Tony Stark without undoing any of his phenomenal story and ending. And that makes his return even more exciting. Number 2. Spider-Man. Spider-Man No Way Home releases at the end of the year, and to say that it is one of the most anticipated upcoming films is an understatement. This movie is the talk of the town for several reasons, but for our purposes, let's specifically talk about MCU characters, and we can focus on Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Spidey was put in an interesting place at the end of Spider-Man Far From Home. Mysterio revealed his identity to the entire world, and everyone is eagerly waiting to see how Peter solves this problem and how it affects him. The character of Spider-Man, both inside and outside of the MCU, is a fan-favorite superhero, and Tom Holland's Spider-Man is many people's favorite Spider-Man. The third MCU Spider-Man film will be much different than every other Spider-Man film before it. If it is the multiverse or just Peter Parker on the run, this will be a much different Spider-Man film than the others that have come before it. And we cannot wait to see the webhead return to the MCU. Number 1. Loki. It's hard to dislike Loki. He is one of the MCU's best characters and has one of the franchise's best character arcs. Throughout his 10 years in the MCU, we saw him go from a villain seeking his father's love to an anti-hero who wants to do good but can't let go of his mischievous ways, to an Avenger who will sacrifice himself for his brother and his people. He unfortunately died at the hands of Thanos in the prologue of Avengers Infinity War, and fans thought that was the last we'd see of Loki. Until Avengers Endgame, when Loki destroys an alternate timeline by stealing the Tesseract and plucking it from where it was supposed to be. A few months later, we learned that the upcoming Loki series will follow this version of the God of Mischief through time. Loki is a great hero, but he is a fantastic villain, and Loki will start off the series at his most evil. And we will see him finally unleash his powers and live up to his full potential. In fact, Tom Hiddleston is such a main player in the MCU now that he even gets his own shirtless scene, an honor only reserved for the elite. And knowing that the events of this series and things Loki does will be important to the MCU later on makes us even more excited to see the God of Mischief return to the MCU. That's our top 5. What are yours? Leave a message below and be sure to subscribe to help us grow. Thanks for watching.